Hi students and welcome. You are to your first lab and it's called Measuring Steps. As you look up on the board, it tells you that, or up on the screen, pardon me, you need to find a few things hanging around your house. Now, you need, let me pop over and stop. Well, yeah, let me stop sharing for a second. Let me pop over on my camera. Okay, what you need is you need a ruler. You need a meter stick. Now, if you don't happen to have a meter stick, some stores you might find them. A lot of times they just have the good old yardstick. It doesn't have any metric on it. A quick way you can do it is go check your dad's tool chest or tools. You probably have measuring tape. Measuring tapes, they have both English and metric. So if you go ahead and pull it out to 1 meter and lock it, this is just like a meter stick. So from here to the end, that's 1 meter, and I can use it to measure. You also need some string. And one of the first things you're going to have to do with this string is you're going to have to make a piece of string the length of your hand. So you're just going to lay it on the top of your longest finger and pull it across. This is the hardest thing coordination-wise until you get it to the length of your hand, and then you're just going to cut it right there. And that's all you need scissors for, and that's all you need string for, really. So you're done with the string. You have your piece of string that is the length of your hand, your scissors are done, and you're ready to start the lab. So I'm going to go back over here and I'm going to screen share my other screen here. And let's talk about the lab. What we are testing today is all about measurements. So you're going to use the various items that you have to measure your household items. So we've already done the first piece of procedure. We've cut our string. And this is going to be a measuring tool. Now you need to find 5 common objects around the house. Now notice their list uses both big and small. So make sure you are using big things and small things. Your room is rather large, pencil's rather small. So you are going to then go ahead and measure those things using each of those devices that you have. So in your table that's on the second page, you're going to put, for example, I'm going to measure a vase, and I'm going to measure it 3 times with my hand, 3 times with my string, 3 times with my measure stick, my meter stick, and 3 times with my smaller measuring device, my metric ruler. All right, so let me, again, sorry, I'm going to keep popping back and forth on you, but let's go back and let's take a look. Here's my vase. So I'm going to take my hand and I'm going to try and measure it, starting it at the palm of my hand, going to my fingertip. Okay, that goes to about there. So it's a hand and what? What part of a hand is that? So let's say it's a hand and a tenth. So it's 1.1 of my hands. Now I'm going to do it again. I'm going to do this 3 times. You know, maybe turn the vase, maybe try setting it down on something to see if maybe you get a more exact measure with your hands. Then you're going to do the same thing with the string. You're going to take your string. You can't see the bottom, but I'm touching the bottom. And I'm going up here. Ooh, that's almost exactly the length of my string. So I'm going to say it's 1 hand string long. And then I'm going to try it again just to make sure. You're going to do that 3 times. Then you're going to take your meter stick. Now this is where it's going to get a little interesting, okay, because it's kind of long, but you can see that I'm just putting it up there, making sure I have, in my case, mine has metric and English, so make sure I have the metric side. And I'm going to go ahead and measure. And that's backwards. I got to turn it towards me. Sorry, I can't read backwards. It's just about 20 centimeters. So again, every time you do this, of those 3 times, you try and be as exact as you can. Was it exactly 20 centimeters? Was it 20 centimeters and 2 millimeters? How would you write that? And get that recorded in your table. And then you're going to use something a little smaller. Now, in some cases, this is going to be easier. But when you're looking at your room, can you imagine measuring your room with one of these? It's going to get a little difficult, much less your hands. But it's okay. That's the whole idea of the lab. Now I want you to notice one thing with my ruler, and this happens with a lot of rulers. Notice how the edge is not where the ruler begins. The ruler does not begin until you get to about 1/2 inch in. So make sure you watch that. Okay, so here we're going to put it up against our vase, and I'm going to say that's 20 centimeters and 1 millimeter, so 20.1 centimeters according to my little ruler. And I'm going to do that 3 times. And then I'm going to answer the questions down at the bottom. And these questions need to be answered in complete sentences, please. And then the second part of your lab, oops, let me go back here and screen share. I'm talking about my screen. I'm looking at my screen. And you can't see my screen. So once you have filled out the table, so you've done each measurement 3 times, there are 5 questions at the bottom that you need to answer, and please answer them in complete sentences. Then you're going to move to the second part, which is all about speed. Now, the goal of this activity is to calculate what is called a derived unit, where we're taking basic units, that of time and distance, and we're going to create a new unit, which is velocity. You're going to need a meter stick and a stopwatch. Now, most phones have some type of stopwatch on it, or you can download a stopwatch app. And it's nice if you can do this outside. It's still early in the year, so you should be able to maybe go outside and use your sidewalk or go to a park. And you're going to go ahead then and measure the length of your open area that you selected. Record the measurement in the table below. And we'll look at that table in just a minute. And record the same distance 3 times, just to make sure that you're getting a good. And why do we do that? Because, we usually take an average measurement. So that way, if you do it a couple times, you're going to get the best measurement possible. The good old carpenter thing, measure twice, cut once. It's because sometimes when you're measuring, you're a little bit more careful. So if you take 3 measurements and average them together, you're going to have a good measurement. The next thing you're going to do is run, and you are going to measure yourself with hand claps. So you might need a little help with this one. Bring along a friend, so they can measure you in hand claps, or have them do the running and you do the hand clapping and stop watching. So you're going to go ahead and do this process with stopwatch times and hand clap times. So the person is going to be running 6 times. So don't pick like a mile. Pick something a little smaller. You're going to be hopping, and they're also going to be walking slowly. So you're going to go ahead and fill out this, and then again, there's a second part of the procedure, but this does not require you actually doing it. It's telling you what you're going to do with your data that you have up here. So you're going to go ahead and follow the procedures for exercise B, and you're going to figure out the speed that you were using when you were walking, when you were hopping, and when you were running. You're going to answer these questions. Notice there are analysis questions and conclusions. Again, complete sentences, please. Once you have this complete, please turn in your data tables. Well, if you just turn in this whole sheet, if you do all your work on here, if you happen to be answering your questions on a separate sheet of paper, make sure you include your data tables with your information and answers to the questions. And again, if you have any questions, please reach out to me on Skype, give me a call, send me an email. I'd be happy to help you any way I can. Thanks.